The Supreme Court courtroom erupted into chaos as former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi openly laughed at Justice Amy Coney Barrett during a high-stakes fictional case. Bondi, known for her aggressive tactics, entered with confidence, but Barrett's calm authority set the stage for a clash. The tension ignited when Barrett questioned Bondi's respect for the court, prompting a defiant smirk. Bondi's mocking laughter followed Barrett's critique of her legal argument, with the gallery gasping at her condescending tone. The confrontation escalated as Barrett demanded respect, her voice steel calm, while Bondi doubled down, igniting a fiery exchange. Bondi's brazen laughter echoed as she dismissed Barrett's challenge, claiming the justice was out of her depth. The gallery murmured, some filming discreetly, as Barrett's eyes narrowed. "You'll respect this court," Barrett retorted, her tone piercing, splitting the onlookers. Bondi, undeterred, leaned in, declaring she was there to expose flaws, not bow. Barrett fired back, calling her mockery misplaced, her voice steady but loaded with authority. The clash grew raw, with Bondi's provocations escalating and Barrett's resolve hardening, charging toward a dramatic peak. The showdown intensified as Bondi mocked Barrett's ivory tower perspective, her voice sharp with scorn. Barrett countered, calling Bondi's arguments flawed and her laughter reckless, drawing murmurs from the gallery. Bondi laughed again, defiant, claiming she was exposing limits, while Barrett's composure never wavered. The justice struck back, labeling Bondi's behavior a distraction, her tone commanding. Bondi retorted, calling Barrett a scholar, not a fighter, gesturing dismissively, but the gallery sensed her bravado straining. Barrett's precision cut through Bondi's defiance as she accused her of undermining the court. Bondi, trembling with defiance, vowed to laugh louder, but Barrett's response was devastating. "You're unraveling," the justice stated, her words measured but cutting. The gallery roared, some standing, as Bondi's facade cracked. Insiders noted Barrett was building toward a crushing rebuttal, the night hurtling toward a tearful climax. Bondi's mockery began to crumble under Barrett's unshakable poise. The courtroom became a cauldron of emotion as Bondi's taunts grew desperate. "I'm your challenge, Justice. You're slipping," she jeered, but Barrett's calm authority only deepened. "Your mockery's reckless," Barrett replied, her voice laced with gravitas. Bondi's smirk faltered as the justice dismantled her arguments, citing procedural flaws. The gallery gasped, some cheering, while Bondi's voice strained. "I've won bigger fights," she shot back, but her defiance wavered under Barrett's relentless logic. Barrett pressed harder, accusing Bondi of betraying weakness with her laughter. "This court demands substance," she declared, her jab personal and pointed. Bondi stood taller, claiming she was exposing limits, but her voice trembled. The gallery erupted, some chanting her name, others whispering Barrett was unshaken. Phones filmed as ex-post surged, with "Barrett corners Bondi" trending. The justice's voice cut through, "You're a provocator. I'll expose your flaws." Bondi's composure frayed as Barrett cited a 2010 ethics precedent with precision. "Hollow," Bondi retorted weakly, calling herself a fighter. The gallery erupted, some filming, others gasping as clips went viral. Barrett's logic dominated social media, millions watching. Bondi, straining, claimed to be Barrett's equal, but her laughter was weaker now. The chamber pulsed with tension as officers signaled frantically. Barrett was in control, but Bondi refused to yield. "Your gavel's cold, Justice," Bondi spat, her voice cracking. "My passion burns," Barrett interjected. "Burns? You're collapsing." The gallery roared, some tossing programs, others live streaming. Bondi stood firm, vowing to outlast Barrett, but insiders noted the justice was dismantling her. The night charged toward a stunning climax, Bondi's mockery shattering under Barrett's resolve. The courtroom braced for the final blow. Barrett's voice trembled with conviction as she delivered the crushing rebuttal. "Your laughter mocks justice," she said, tying Bondi's case to real-world suffering. The gallery sobbed, some gasping, while Bondi's face tightened. "You're a judge, not their savior," Bondi whispered, her voice breaking. Barrett pressed on. "Your mockery scorns this court's duty." Bondi's eyes flashed, but her defiance was crumbling. "I fight for truth," Bondi insisted, her voice quivering. Barrett's voice rose. "Silence. You're done." The audience surged, some chanting Barrett's name. The justice raised her gaze, speaking for those harmed by Bondi's actions. Bondi's eyes softened, her composure fraying. "Your academic justice," she murmured, barely audible. The gallery erupted, clips flooding social media. Barrett gripped the bench, calling Bondi's laughter hollow. Bondi, tears welling, whispered, "I'm their voice." The gallery roared, some rushing the barriers. "You're heard," Barrett stated, the clash teetering. Insiders said Bondi was breaking. The night hurtled toward its tearful climax, Barrett's empathy the final spark. The crescendo came as Barrett's voice soared. "Their tears demand justice," she declared, a poignant manifesto. Bondi's tears streamed, her bravado gone. "I tried, justice," she whispered. The gallery wept, phones capturing every moment. Bondi cries trended instantly, Barrett's resolve going viral. Barrett concluded, "Justice prevails," her voice final. Bondi, sobbing, bowed her head. The gallery erupted, chanting Barrett's name as the clash resolved. Bondi's team rushed to her, whispers of, "She was fierce," echoing. Social media exploded, Barrett's triumph trending globally. The aftermath solidified Barrett's poise in Bondi's humbling defeat. Her laughter, once defiant, was now silenced. The moment became a fuse for future clashes, with Barrett's next ruling and Bondi's next stand poised to ignite. The saga's impact resonated, leaving the internet ablaze and the courtroom forever changed. As the courtroom settled, the weight of Barrett's words lingered in the air. Bondi, once unshakable, sat slumped in her seat, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. The gallery, still buzzing, exchanged hushed whispers, some praising Barrett's composure, others stunned by Bondi's unraveling. Legal analysts later dissected the exchange, calling it a masterclass in judicial authority. Meanwhile, social media erupted with memes, clips, and hot takes, ensuring the moment would dominate headlines for days. Observers noted how Barrett's strategy had been deliberate. She let Bondi's arrogance peak before striking with surgical precision. By grounding her rebuttal in real-world consequences, she exposed the hollowness of Bondi's theatrics. Legal scholars praised the justice's ability to dismantle an opponent without raising her voice, proving that intellect, not volume, wins arguments. Bondi's team, meanwhile, scrambled to control the narrative, but the damage was done. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, shouting questions at Bondi as she exited, her face still flushed. She offered no comment, her earlier bravado replaced by a rare silence. Barrett, in contrast, left with the same measured poise she had entered with, her expression unreadable. The contrast between the two women couldn't have been starker, one undone by emotion, the other fortified by restraint. Pundits debated whether Bondi had underestimated Barrett, assuming the justice would retreat under fire. Instead, Barrett had turned Bondi's aggression against her, exposing it as insecurity masked as strength. The clash became a case study in power dynamics, how true authority doesn't need to shout, and how mockery often reveals fear. Some even speculated whether Bondi's laughter had been a nervous reflex, a last-ditch effort to deflect from her crumbling argument. By midnight, late-night comedians and political commentators had seized on the moment. Satirical sketches portrayed Bondi as a schoolyard bully bested by the quiet kid, while legal podcasts dissected Barrett's rhetorical brilliance. The phrase, "You'll respect this court," became an instant catchphrase, emblazoned on t-shirts and hashtagged across platforms. Bondi's tears, meanwhile, were remixed into viral reaction memes, some sympathetic, others mocking. Behind the scenes, sources revealed that Bondi had been confident going into the hearing, believing her prosecutorial swagger would overpower Barrett's scholarly demeanor. Instead, she walked into a trap, one where her own theatrics made her look reckless, while Barrett's calm made her look wise. Allies of the former Attorney General privately admitted she had misjudged the room, mistaking Barrett's quiet intensity for weakness. The fallout extended beyond the courtroom. Political analysts questioned whether Bondi's reputation as a fierce litigator had been permanently dented. Would future opponents see her as vulnerable to emotional collapse under pressure? Conversely, Barrett's stock soared, with even critics acknowledging her ability to command respect without theatrics. The clash wasn't just a legal showdown, it was a lesson in leadership. In the days that followed, Bondi's team attempted damage control, framing her tears as passion rather than defeat. But the footage spoke for itself. Barrett had dismantled her methodically, and no spin could change that. Meanwhile, the justice's clerks reported she had moved on as if nothing extraordinary had happened, her focus already shifted to the next case. Legal historians drew parallels to past courtroom clashes, Thurgood Marshall's quiet dismantling of segregationist arguments, or Ruth Bader Ginsburg's razor-sharp dissents. Like them, Barrett had proven that the most powerful statements don't need volume. They need truth, delivered with unwavering conviction. Bondi, in contrast, became a cautionary tale, a reminder that arrogance unchecked by substance is a liability. The fictional case at the heart of the dispute faded into the background, overshadowed by the human drama. Yet its themes, ethics, power, and accountability, echoed in the real-world reactions. Some saw Bondi's downfall as poetic justice for a career built on aggression, others saw Barrett's triumph as proof that the judiciary still had moral clarity. As the week wore on, the spectacle became a cultural touchstone. Late-night hosts joked about it, editorial cartoons lampooned it, and law professors assigned it as required viewing. The phrase, "don't pull a Bondi," entered political slang, shorthand for underestimating an opponent and crumbling under pressure. Meanwhile, Barrett mode became shorthand for cool, devastating precision. Bondi's allies urged her to address the moment head-on, but she remained silent, fueling speculation about her next move. Would she retreat from the spotlight or double down? Barrett, meanwhile, continued her duties without comment, her silence itself a statement. The contrast between their postures only deepened the narrative, one defined by resilience, the other by reckoning. Psychologists weighed in, analyzing Bondi's body, language, the forced laughter, the clenched jaw, the eventual collapse into tears. They noted how Barrett's steady eye contact and controlled tone had exuded dominance without aggression. The clash wasn't just about law, it was about human psychology, about how power is asserted and surrendered. Memes comparing the showdown to iconic pop culture moments, Rocky vs. Drago, Hermione outsmarting Snape, flooded the internet. The drama transcended politics, becoming a universal story about hubris and humility. Even those who knew nothing about the Supreme Court were captivated by the raw, emotional arc. Behind closed doors, whispers suggested Bondi was furious, not just at Barrett, but at herself. She had played into every stereotype of the brash, overconfident prosecutor, while Barrett had embodied the ideal of the wise, unflappable judge. The lesson was clear: in the highest stakes arenas, composure is currency. As the news cycle moved on, the moment crystallized into legend. Future law students would study it, future politicians would reference it, and future pundits would debate what Bondi could have done differently. But one thing was certain: Amy Coney Barrett had cemented her reputation as a force, one who didn't need to shout to be heard. In the end, the clash wasn't just about two women in a courtroom. It was about two approaches to power, one loud and brittle, the other quiet and unbreakable. And in that showdown, the quiet won. The internet, the legal world, and history itself would remember it that way. Bondi's legacy, once defined by tough on-crime rhetoric, now had an asterisk: the day she met a justice who refused to be rattled. Barrett's legacy, meanwhile, gained a new chapter: the day she proved that true strength doesn't need to roar. Weeks later, Bondi finally broke her silence in a subdued interview, calling the moment a learning experience. But the public had already moved on. The spectacle had become shorthand for a deeper truth: that in the battle between bluster and brilliance, brilliance wins. Barrett, ever disciplined, never gloated. She didn't need to. The footage spoke for itself: a masterclass in how to dismantle an opponent with grace, intelligence, and unshakable poise. The legal world would be studying it for years. And so, the fiery courtroom clash faded into history, but its lessons endured. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned. Authority isn't taken, it's demonstrated. And sometimes, the most powerful statement is the one delivered not with a shout, but with a quiet, unbreakable certainty.